afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and we are syndicated on Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And check out the podcast. That's brand new. netnewsnetwork.net. You can find us there anytime you'd like, and you can also search for us, and we appreciate your support. Absolutely. Now, speaking of support, you guys are really good at sending all kinds of topics my way, and I do appreciate that because you rule. You're the reason we have this show, so it's all about you and what you would like to hear about. So a lot of folks are really upset. I am as well, and that's about inflation, all the things that are happening right now in the United States. But you know what? We can fight it because we got the courage to do so, okay? But I want to tell you some possible ways, 5 ways to beat inflation and prepare for a possible recession in 2023. If we can know ahead of time we need to plan for something, that's survival, okay? That means we can make it. And you can. I know you can. Okay, 5 ways to beat inflation and prepare for a possible recession in 2023. And this is from the website financer.com, FINANCER.com. Some great tips right here. Really do like these. First of all, a quick take on everything. First of all, the U.S. inflation is at a 40-year high. You know, all of this, I graduated from high school in 1977, and that was the year my parents said, you want a car, you buy it yourself. So I was taking on some babysitting jobs. There was really nowhere to work here in Geraldine at that time. Very, very small town. So I was babysitting and taking on cleaning houses and stuff like that. So that's how I came up with my money for my very first car. Then I get the car, and then we have gas lines, like you could only have so many gallons of gas. So I'm just sitting here griping, fussing. I bought my car. Of course, it was a junk heap, but anyway, it was my car. I paid for it, right? And so how we're going to get through all this inflation stuff, very young. And so Jimmy Carter was president at that time. Lots of things happening in Iran. There's just all this stuff happening to young people all at the same time. And you young folks also are going through all this stage of like, what should I do? I mean, are we going to have electric cars? Are we going to have gas-powered cars? I mean, when is all this stuff supposed to happen? But there are things you can do in the meantime. So let's get started. We talked about the 40-year high. Yep, things always have a way of cycling around. The Fed has raised interest rates 6 times this year to drive prices down, but the inflation is still really high. By continually increasing the cost of borrowing money, the Fed may succeed in giving more incentivized spending and driving inflation down, but this may set the stage for a recession, of course, upcoming this year, 2023. Now, diversifying your investments is the best hedge against inflation and a good way to prepare for a possible recession in 2023. But where do you begin? Okay, so in October 2021, U.S. inflation hit 6.2%, the highest since 2008, and it was pretty rough back then too. In January 2022, it rose to 7.5%. Again, the highest in 40 years. In June 2022, set a new high of 9.1 before falling to 8.5% in July. At the moment, it stands at 7.7, which is still incredibly high. None of us are appreciating that at all. Now, to curb inflation, again, the Fed has raised interest rates 6 times this year. I don't know if that's any kind of a record, but it feels like it is. Again, we can all get in this together, okay? Now, why is skyrocketing inflation such a problem? It doesn't, and I really wish in schools they would prepare students for this. And I'm talking about plain old reading, writing, and arithmetic. How to figure math in your head would be an awesome way to begin, but let's talk about what we've got. So rising inflation means a steady rise in the general price level. Prices are increasing on everything. If prices continue to rise, employers will start demanding higher wages to keep up with the increasing cost of goods. Now, this is business 101, okay? If Mr. Employer has to raise the wages, he's going to have to raise the price of his widgets. Okay, that's just common sense. This can lead to an upward spiral of wages, and prices can weaken the purchasing power of money and deal adverse effects to an economy. Now, To combat inflation, the Fed has been raising interest rates, and when interest rates rise, businesses find it more expensive to borrow. You got to, you got to find ways to increase your inventory. If you're a manufacturer of widgets, well, then those costs are going to be higher. So you got to pass that on to the customer. Nobody is in business to lose money, okay? Everybody in business is looking to increase and have a fair way to increase their livelihood wages. Okay, let's see. Less economy activity means fewer jobs are created. A fall in economic activity can also lead to a slash in wages. Fewer jobs, just like we just said, and less wages means less money for households, which translates to less spending. It's common sense, okay? All right, now, how inflation affects us, okay? High inflation is always associated with a serious problem. It's a decline in purchasing power of money. Rising inflation means you need more and more money to buy the same quality of goods. To fight this problem, the government employs fiscal or monetary policy. Now, what does this mean? Okay, an example of using fiscal policy to fight inflation is raising taxes to disincentivize the spending. Now, an example of using monetary policy to fight inflation is raising interest rates to increase the cost of borrowing money. It's like this, it's like a no-ending circle. It just keeps going on and on and on. Since raising taxes can make a government unpopular, rising interest rates has been the most favorable option to fighting inflation. But then again, your monthly payments on your house and your car is going to be much higher. It's unending. It never stops. This is evident in the fact that the Fed has raised interest rates again 6 times this year. This article mentions this 3 times. While increasing interest rates alleviates the problem of inflation over time, it raises the cost of borrowing money for businesses, but not just businesses are finding it's expensive to borrow money. High interest rates also raise the cost of borrowing money even for individuals. We all know that. Again, common sense, right? For example, high interest rates mean that mortgages will be more expensive. You know what that also means? That means if somebody is buying a house, they would like to rent it out, guess what? Your rent is going to be higher as well. While the Fed is trying hard to combat inflation, I think they could work a bit harder on that. It will take time to get back to pre-pandemic levels. And so this article is actually a guide to help you through those times. Now, what we're talking about is 5 ways to beat inflation and brace up for a possible recession in 2023. I think we're already in it. But anyway, there are 5 ways. Diversify your investment, cut down expenses, use debt responsibly, stock up on food and other necessities, and have an emergency fund. So you're questioning me about this right now, and I don't blame you. I'm questioning this article. So how are you going to make all of this stuff happen? I mean, we are like fighting to the limits right now. Some people are actually getting short time. Some companies are opting to have part-time employees because and let me tell you the reason behind that. This is what I think, okay? Because I've owned businesses several times in my lifetime. So if I'm pushed to the point where people don't want to work, and I finally get somebody in and I put them on full time, this is reasoning, okay? This is reasoning for somebody with boots on the ground, someone who's actually done this before. Me, okay? So I get why people hire part-time people instead of full-time. Because I get this person in, they're working full-time, they just may decide tomorrow not to even show up for work anymore. And may not even call me, I may have to track them down. Whereas if I have 2 part-time people, not such a bother with me, because if one part-time person quits, I have the other one, at least I got somebody in there, right? That's the reasoning for all of this. It's not because people are trying to do you over or anything like that. So as an employee, you need to really get in there and show your stuff and show Mr. Employer, hey, I'm having to start out part-time, but I really need full-time. It's not up to them, it's up to you. It's up to you as an employee to really show the Mr. or Mrs. Employer that you're in it for the long haul, okay? That's what it means. All right, diversify your investment. We'll talk about that one first. Investing is the best hedge against inflation. When you invest, you put your money to work by purchasing an asset that generates cash flow or goes up in value. Now, when it comes to investments, there's a wide range to choose from with varying risk to reward ratios. Now, as a rule of thumb, the higher the risk associated with an investment, the higher the potential reward. The reverse is also the case. So the lower the risk associated with an investment, the lower of the potential reward. Okay, since risk is closely tied to reward in the world of investments, it's important to take your risk appetite into consideration when it comes to deciding what to invest in. Another key to consideration when it comes to investing is time. Some investments are best suited for the short term, while others only yield good returns over the long run. There are 3 inflation-proof investments to consider, okay? One of those is real estate. Somebody's always going to want to live in, either you're going to live in your house, you're going to take over boarders. There are so many things to consider when you are buying property. You may have another piece of property. You could turn your house into apartments, which is what Phil and I did several years ago. We had this big, huge house in in Oxford, Alabama, and the house was about 4,000 square feet. So what we decided to do is turn it into 3 apartments, which meant investments on our part, okay? And this was during a bad economy. So we were able to, this huge house, divide it up into 3 apartments, and have some money coming in, making something off of this huge house. Upkeep, yeah, you're going to have people tear stuff up. So there's upsides and downsides to renting property. Some people choose to rent a bedroom out maybe and have a private entrance in maybe the home they're living in, which is another idea. And that just brings extra income for you, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, real estate's a good option if you're looking to invest in the long term, but only do you benefit from cash flow from the form of rent, and again, as additional payments such as pet policies, but you also benefit from capital gains when the value of the property goes up. Bonds. Bonds have become more attractive since the Fed started raising interest rates to curb inflation. Now, as the Fed goes up on interest rates to drive down inflation, the yield on bonds will rise. And the third one is gold. Gold is one of the best inflation hedges. And as inflation soars and fiat money loses value, gold, also known as great money gains value. Gold prices seem to soar in times of uncertainty. But you know something, be really careful about that. And I throw this up all the time. I'm always saying, if I had the choice between the same amount of gold and the same amount in seeds is money, right? Seeds is also food. I can't eat a block of gold. I would diversify. You need seeds, and you need to know how to take care of those as well. Don't just buy seeds for the heck of it. You really, really need to know what they're about, how to grow a garden out of seeds, and that kind of thing too. So, knowledge is king. So you need to start talking to farmers. You need to go ahead and, like I'm taking some classes at Auburn University, and this is master gardening classes, and I have learned so much. I encourage everybody to do that. You can get in contact with my friend Brian Brown if you're interested. And wherever you're living in the United States, find a Master Gardeners program. They're all over the country. They're all over the world. So go ahead and seek that knowledge, okay? Very low investment to take these classes. Okay, the relationship between money and gold is been inversely proportional, okay? Now, in the end, investments are not a sure bet. You can lose money investing in anything, even gold. So do your research before parting with your money. Ooh, let's go to a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. So you hang in there, okay?
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest MyPillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have MyPillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing MyPillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, bolster pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Okay, we are back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, which is syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And check out our podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. netnewsnetwork.net, and you can find all of our music and all of our shows there as well. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Okay, cut down on expenses. That's number 2. Okay, keeping track of spending. Got to keep track. Okay, I'll tell you one way I like to do it, and that's online banking. I live with online banking. Just in case now, and I learned this a long time ago, someone tried to steal my identity several years ago as we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I had my online banking. What if I had waited until the bank statement came in? I would have been duped. Absolutely. So anyway, I was able to call the bank that day and hopefully get things straightened out. It took a good couple of weeks, but anyway, my money was finally put back into the account and everything was straightened out. So you've got to keep track of spending, whether it's somebody invades your privacy and tries to take your money out of your account, or you do it and forget to jot it down. Okay, keep track of your spending is a good way to prioritize your expenses. You can see where the money is going and whether needs are being prioritized over wants or vice versa. This is something both my granddads told me a long time ago. They said, when you're thinking about buying anything, whether it's a low ticket or a high ticket, especially if it's a big ticket item, let's just say you just get all crazy and you want to buy a new car. Okay, sleep on it overnight. Okay, and even if it takes a week, you really need to think about these things because we don't know what's happening right now, you see? So sometimes you just have to sleep on it and then think about it. You might want to ask God's guidance about this. I would before I made anything kind of a big ticket. Let's say you say, maybe you're thinking about expanding. You're thinking about, oh, I need a bigger house. And I'll just have to tell you, you can live with one bathroom. As a matter of fact, I kind of like that idea because one bathroom is one bathroom to clean. We lived in Charlotte. I had 3.5 bathrooms. Not fun to have to clean a bunch of bathrooms all the time. So we downsized. Although sometimes I think it would be a little convenient to have 2 bathrooms. You can live with one, okay? And also let the kids bunk up. If you've got 3 kids and you only have 3 bathrooms or 3 bedrooms or whatever, let them learn to it's a good way to teach sharing with your children. Absolutely. When I was a kid growing up, we lived in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath brick ranch. Everybody was buying those in the 60s. And we made it just fine. We certainly did. Actually learned about sharing because I was the oldest and it seemed like I'm the one who had to do all the sharing. But anyway, that's a good thing to think about, okay? So think about these things. Think about I just got to have 4 bedrooms. Got 3 kids. No, you don't. You don't. Think these things out because right now we're living in uncertain times. I would hate for you to go in debt and buy this huge mega house to lose it later on. And I've seen that happen so many times in the past with some of my friends. I don't want it to happen to you, okay? All right, now every penny saved is a penny earned, especially during inflation. That money will be more useful somewhere else, okay? Now, to make it easier to track your spending, prioritize your expenses in a budget that helps to focus on your needs. Budget's like the most wonderful thing you could ever do for yourself. A budget, yeah. And this is something I found too. Now, I like a good deal when I can get it. But it's good if you're going to places like the $5 store. I buy things I know I'm going to be needing for the show. That's my primary reason for going there. I keep my cell phone with me. I'll look online to see what the value of a product is. And this is how I can help you guys out. Like, okay, I found this really good deal. We're going to have a segment on the Dollar Tree, which is one of our new sponsors. I found these things right here, $1.25 now instead of $1. But I found these. So we're going to talk about how you can have things like this. I can take that apart and make about 3 different presents out of this. So we're going to have a show on that coming up really, really soon on how to do that. I bought several of them. And then I can turn right around and resell them. Whereas I have some found products, some things that I found out in the pasture. I paid $1.25 for this. I can probably wind up making at least, I don't know, $30 just out of this one thing right here that I paid $1.25 for. I just think it's really all kinds of cool. I can add some old pieces of jewelry down here and make a, wind chime. I can do all kinds of sorts of things with this. I can put this on an old piece of found wood. Can't wait to show you what ideas I have for that. But anyway, it's a good time to get into crafting and then reselling. That's another thing you can do. Okay, let's see. And then let's make sure we talk about this. And this is about how you keep track of spending. It's not too late to get seeds. It's not. I found that you can sprout beans, and let me tell you how you can do that. Some paper towels, you need to dampen them. They don't need to be like soaking wet. So you can go on ahead and get those seeds and put them on paper towels, keep them wet. In just about a week, you've got roots sprouting out of these dried beans. Okay, and then always keep seeds. That's one thing that if you'll have a plant one time, and you'll sacrifice a few, let's say your beans, let's say you have some dried pinto beans, okay, and you've made a garden out of it. If you'll sacrifice at least 100 of those beans right there, that's something you're never going to have to buy again. And then too, there's a way you can preserve those beans. One thing that I like to do, instead of canning the beans, I like to leave them on the bushes. I like to leave them on their plant, let them dry, okay? And what's going to happen is the covering that the beans are inside is going to get really dry. They're easier to peel. I mean, have you ever tried to string beans? It takes a long time to do that. Or butter beans or whatever. It takes a while to get the beans out of the pod, right? So my key is I'm saving inventory space in the house. I don't have like 50 cans of beans I've got to do something with. I keep them in a bag and in the freezer. And then Phil likes it better anyway because the juice is thicker. So he loves that. Let me keep up with what time it is. So see, I start talking, I get sidelined because I love talking with you. Okay, let's see. To make it easier to track your spending, prioritize your expenses in a budget that helps you focus on your needs. Now, you got to have a place to live, okay? So the house payment's got to be up there first, or your rent payment, you got to have that. A car, you got to have a car to drive around in so you can go to work, right? Unless you work out of your home. That's another idea. Ask Mr. and Mrs. Employer if work is something you could actually do out of your home. Save you driving expenses. I love it. Phil had a studio built for me, and so I'm loving it. It's paying for itself because of the money I used to spend on the road all the time, going back and forth to a studio. Think of it. Use your imagination, okay? Keep track of your spending will also help you keep on top of your payments so that you don't have to pay extra charges or fees. Did you know that if you make an extra house payment, just $100 a month, if all you do is, let's just say for the sake of argument, your house payment is $500 a month. You make a payment of $600 per month, and then you also turn right around and half that. So let's say you make $300 house payment at the first of the month, and then another $300. You're going over 100, okay? Or you're going over your $500, you're making $600 instead of $500. So on the 15th, you'll also make another payment of $300. You're doing two things. You're actually spending more, and you're not even aware of it. Okay, you're forcing yourself to make this really, really unique thing happen. So what's happening is you are also making an extra payment per year. You are. Okay, 52 weeks in a year, right? Okay, you're dividing the month into 2. So you're making that many payments instead of 12. So you're forcing yourself to make a $100 payment and an extra monthly payment. You're going to shave off several years. And you know what you're doing when you're shaving off several years on that house payment? You're also shaving off a lot of interest rates. Now, I've already told you the story about Brad and Larissa when they paid their house off. And it was a 30-year mortgage. They paid it off in 10 years. They saved way over $100,000 in interest. Now, $100,000 in interest is not anything to sneeze at, okay? That's a lot of money that you're saving. But what they're doing, instead of blowing $100,000 now on other things, they're continuing that savings routine, okay? You got to get yourself into a simple routine of doing these things. We're going to have another show coming up in just a few minutes. We're going to finish this off. What can you do with inflation at such a high? We're going to talk about that coming up in the next show. So you hang in there. My name is Donna. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And check out the podcast. Absolutely. NetNewsNetwork.net. NetNewsNetwork.net. This is part 1. We'll be back with part 2 coming up shortly.